Mafia, we need your help. We are just 356 subscribers away from hitting 3,000 on the channel. Welcome into the Bills Breakdown here by Chat Sports. My name is Trace Moustakis. You can call me Moose. And admittingly, I had a little powwow with the bosses, and they said that if we want to go live on Bills Breakdown for the 2025 NFL Draft, we need way more subs than we already have, as close to 5,000 as we could possibly get. And that starts video by video. So hit that subscribe button, lock us in for everything surrounding your Buffalo Bills. Now, coming up on today's show, the latest, the juiciest Buffalo Bills rumors, including two former Buffalo Bills players, one potentially coming back to the team. That's all coming up here on the Bills Breakdown. Falling out of the sky like Chicken Little. I saw this yesterday on my drive home. Stuck in Dallas traffic, just minding my own business. Get the push noti that Stefon Diggs is making some waves here on social media. Now, it was rumored in this particular, I want to call it social tweet that I kind of saw, that he maybe is interested in coming back to Buffalo. So Stefon Diggs was tweeted yesterday as having put his photos back on his Instagram. Now, what does it mean? Well, it doesn't mean everything, right? It could just be that Stefon Diggs, decided enough is enough. Enough time has passed. I'm going to go put him back up there. And I think it's kind of petty, honestly, when players do this across the NFL. You see it all the time where a player, when they leave and it's a little bit saltier than they would have liked, they kind of delete their photos, kind of wipe away all of the evidence that they were ever on the team, as if we couldn't go back on YouTube, watch their highlights, or go watch game footage on any TV or any device that we choose. So I kind of think it's significant of like a teenager breaking up with his boyfriend or his girlfriend, or his or her boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. So I kind of think it's kind of corny. I think it's kind of petty. But to me, honestly, this is kind of a trip down memory lane for Stefon Diggs. I don't think he's actually serious about going back to the Bills. I think he looks at his time in Houston right now and he says to himself, God, maybe I didn't have it so bad in Buffalo, as if that's what we were trying to tell him this entire time. But you know what? He got a little bit loud in the offseason, and Stefon Diggs has kind of been known to be a noisy player when it's not on the field, and he has been a great player and was a great player for Buffalo. So to me, this really isn't necessarily I'm trying to make it known to the Bills that I want to come back just by putting my Instagram photos back up. And if you take a look at what he did last year with the Houston Texans before that horrible ACL tear, he was solid. Not the Stefon Diggs that we remember, Mr. 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 yards. But honestly, as players get older, the decline starts, and you see it happen all the time. Father Time is undefeated. And plus, just a little by the by, Stefon Diggs is a very vocal player. If he wanted back in Buffalo, he would just say it. He'd tweet directly at the Bills and say, hey, come get me. I'm ready to come home. I don't think that he's playing cryptic messages between Bills fans and the front office. I don't see it happening, right? I mean, he's a vocal player. He's been outspoken since he was drafted in Minnesota. And then he wanted out of Minnesota, comes to Buffalo, then wants out of Buffalo. So to me, I look at this and I say, if he really wanted to come back to the 716, he would have just said it. And personally, I was trying to think yesterday as this rumor kind of presented itself, and I was like, how do I feel if Deshaun Watson were to come back? Not Deshaun Watson, I'm sorry. Stefon Diggs were to come back. That's my apologies. If Stefon Diggs were to come back. I'm indifferent. I mean, for the right price, maybe, but we already have a very deep wide receiver room. We just added Josh Palmer to it. So, yes, would it be like a little bit more icing on the cake? Sure. But the truth is that off of an ACL injury to an aging wide receiver who is still, by the way, an unsigned free agent, Nobody's been vying for his services. Doesn't that kind of tell you something? A little? I mean, again, I'm not saying I don't want him, but I'm not necessarily saying that I do want him. If he wanted to come back for the right price, I'd be open to it. But if I'm being quite honest, if another team scooped him up, I wouldn't lose an ounce of sleep over it. So let me ask you this. Would you bring back Stefon Diggs? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And if you do want to bring him back, let me know why you want to bring him back other than just nostalgia purposes. That can't be your only argument. Like, hey, it was great to see him once in a Bills uniform. How about we do it again for old time's sake? No, there's got to be a practical reason, an on-the-field reason why you would want to bring back Stefon Diggs. Okay, now on to our second juicy piece of rumors that coincidentally, like both of these players, former Bills, taking shots at the front office, Kaiir Elam, who we traded away to the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, took a shot at the Bills on his way out the door. Here's what he had to say about his time in Buffalo. Coming to Buffalo, I was a kid that just wanted to improve and learn and really show off my talents. But I always got put in the back seat. I continued to put my head down and work, continued to make plays throughout the season and in the playoffs and stuff like that. I just took everything I learned from there and all the baggage and improvements I felt like I needed to make and just packaged it up and worked on it every single day. I don't really see it as a negative. I really just see it as a growing opportunity for me to shine elsewhere. Now, 98% of that quote I was on board with. I'm like, okay, he's letting us know that he worked hard. It just didn't work out, except for that last little sentence where he says to go shine somewhere else, as if he was this untapped talent that we just didn't do a good job of developing. I mean, look at his 2024 stats. This is below mid. This is bad. 26 tackles, only 2 pass breakups, 0 interceptions, no forced fumbles, and a PFF grade of 70.2. Now, PFF grades don't tell the whole story, right? It's a little bit of a give and take. But you mean to tell me that it was the Bills' fault that they just didn't recognize the talent that they had in front of them? Give me a break. He wasn't good enough to shine, right? You had him for enough time. You were on the field enough to showcase your abilities as a cornerback in this league, and it wasn't good enough. And even if it was good enough and we decided that, hey, Dallas offered us a package that we just couldn't turn down, you would have gotten more than you did already for it. What did Dallas give us? A pick exchange this year and next year 7th? And you mean to tell me that you're this godly cornerback that was just misunderstood and misdeveloped? Come on, give me a break, man. You just weren't good enough. And, by the way, we have a cornerback that passed you up, Christian Benford. He's phenomenal. He's the best cornerback in this Bills room by far, and with Rasul Douglas on the free agency market, it's looking like he's going to be your corner one for next year. And in 2024, Benford was outstanding. 64 tackles, 10 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, forced fumbles, so he's a physical player, and his PFF grade, God, I can't say that. PFF grade smokes yours, 82.6. So, again, like I read that quote, and the entire time I'm thinking, yeah, okay, just didn't work out. To go shine somewhere else, like you're going to go to Dallas and be a stud, and, the Bills just didn't know what to do with Elam. That's not true, man. It's not true at all. So here's what I'm going to ask you. Are you happy that we traded Elam? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. And look, this is not a shot at him as a person or as a guy. I mean, specifically on the field, he wasn't good enough. And Benford completely outplayed him. Rasul Douglas completely outplayed him. He just wasn't good enough to garner a starting spot on this team, especially a team that has Super Bowl aspirations every single year, competing to get to the bowl. That's the goal for the Buffalo Bills. And he was not a part of the future plan, plain and simple. So I'm going to say yes, I'm happy about this. But if you disagree with me, let me know why in the comments below. That's going to do it on our Bills Rumor episode for today. Remember to subscribe. Like I said, we're trying to make this the growing place for Bills coverage here on YouTube. Like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe and share this with a friend. My name is Moose. Until then, be cool.